Nagasaki Station. This is like the central hub. Everybody comes into Nagasaki right through these halls here. And one thing that's kind of upsetting is we're encountering some technical problems along the way. Like we're forgetting to put volume and stuff, and Michael's choosing to put slow motion video instead of regular video. It's like a big mess. You have to remember, guys, when you're traveling and you're trying to take videos of what you're doing, it's really difficult. It makes it like infinitely more difficult than just trying to travel and have a good time. So we're trying to get everything up and running for you guys to see what we're doing so you can enjoy it through our eyes. But I must say it's like really challenging because look at this big bag I'm carrying. This is just part of it. Then the big camera that I have and all these bags. It's crazy. We're just nuts with our travels, but we actually got to go because we're gonna miss our train and get to Hiroshima really late. Then we're gonna have nothing to show.
So this is how you order ramen here in Japan. It's kind of a confusing thing at times because it comes with a refill, or you can choose the ramen and then get the refill, or you can just go with this.
Okay, just get it.
Okay, I'll get that one. Then give me change, but I still want some more goodies, so I want...
How about I get this one? Matcha almond pudding.
Certainly we'll consider that. Extra garlic? That's kind of interesting. I don't know. I guess I'll choose that, even though it's a little weird. We're here in a ramen place here in Hiroshima. It's a nice cramped location. I've never been at a ramen place like this. They didn't have anything like this in Tokyo as far as I remember. This is a really nice feeling that you have like a guy who brings your stuff through this little window here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got some tea here that's very unique. I think they bottle it in the store, but maybe I'm wrong.
Here's the ramen, and they give you this food in this amazingly tiny stall. It's like this small. It's the smallest stall I've ever seen you get food in. Michael's about to try to crack an egg. It's quite unusual for Michael.
There we go.
Go ahead, do it. We were gonna make fun of the way you did it, and you're blocking the camera right now. Oh wow, look at that! Michael opened the egg and he doesn't know what to do. Wow. How is it, by the way? This soup is it good? Ramen good?
Yeah, very good.
Oh, look at how you pour the water. You actually do it yourself in this little stall thing. That every one of these stalls has water. It's awesome. All right, we just got to Hiroshima. We walked for about 20 minutes from the train station all the way over here. This is a really cool central hub area, and this hotel actually is only 1 year old. So I love the fact that you get this gigantic desk. Because look at all this room we need for all the video stuff. My God, it's crazy. So I love that the wind, the maid actually meticulously cleaned my wires. I don't know why she did, but it was really nice that she did. But I could sure use her right now. Look at that pile of mess.
Oh wow.
Okay, then over here you got two pretty good sized beds together. That's how they get away with calling it two beds. It's like a king size bed if you combine the two, but it's cool that at least you get two beds, so you don't have to share that. And look at this bathroom. This is crazy. You gotta step up. Look at this. Step up here. Okay. So you got this like really. Look how tall this bathtub is. It's like getting in here. It's like kind of ridiculous, but it's cool. This is the most Western style bathroom I've seen in Japan so far. And you got you sink everything, but I think you can also technically take a shower here because look, there's a drain right there.
Yeah.
Then of course you get your bidet. All these toilets in Japan have these bidets. I've used it once and it's interesting. It's an interesting way to clean up.
You can't go on a bath without that.
But you know what? I love the smell of it. This room too. It smells new. So if you do come out, I'm not getting paid, but so far I'm liking Candia hotels. Pretty top notch. Okay, we got to get to the atomic dome right now because we're running out of time, of course.
All right, Doc.
This is the view from our room in the Candia hotels in Hiroshima, and it's a little bit tight here to get this recording, but I must say that the view is awesome, and we are looking forward to seeing the rest of Hiroshima. But staying in the room is pretty cool just for now. We just got in the room, of course, so I had to pick up the camera and show you guys what we are experiencing right now. Oh, look at that. There's a electric tram going right by. Who knows where they're going? I don't know because I don't know the town that well yet. Here we are in
Hiroshima.
Hiroshima.
You don't know where you are?
Yeah, they both were attacked by the U.S. with atomic weapons, so similar. But here we are in Hiroshima. This is the atomic dome behind us, and it's actually the only structure that still has this really bombed out look to it, and it's really exceptionally interesting to look at just because how old it is. And
it's interesting because in the beginning a lot of Japanese wanted to tear this down originally because they didn't want to be reminded of the nukes, but as time goes on they started to want to preserve it, and there still are efforts to preserve this building.
This is now the last of the atomic bombing cities we're seeing on this trip, and I must say there are some similarities in the museums. Like you see melted bottles and melted coins together. But in this museum, I think the most interesting thing for me was the tricycle that was completely obliterated, but still to the point you could actually still recognize it as a tricycle. But it was right in the blast zone. It was
actually buried for a period of like 40 years, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He buried it with the kid's body, and then after 40 years they took it out.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that, and they have a stop to watch at the time of the explosion as well. That was interesting.
Watch instead of a clock.
And Nagasaki, the most interesting was, of course, the clock stopped.
Yeah.
It was a really exceptionally looking clock. Even when it's obliterated, it still looks amazing to see that.
This is a really remarkable city for historical reasons, but also it is now quite a modern city. It's really developed. It has a lot of cool people here. A lot of kids ask us random questions. I guess they're on a school field trip and they have to ask foreigners questions. And you get to see that there's a really great, vibrant culture here in Japan. A lot of interesting and fun people. It's definitely important to see these kind of sites and see how well they preserved it and learn the lessons of history.
Also, here in Hiroshima, the plaque designating the area where the bomb was dropped 600 meters above is a little bit less exceptional compared to Nagasaki, where they have like this great marker where it's like a black steeple with a park with a blast zone. It's really a lot more visually interesting versus the plaque against the hospital.
There's a little plaque outside the hospial.
I guess they need the hospital there.
Yeah, they can't have a big giant plaque everywhere, but it's kind of interesting because at the other locations, because it's more prominent, a lot of kids would go there and they, I guess the school would bring the kids there and they would have some big event where the kids like sing a song or something like that. They kind of do that over here by the Mound, where they have the people.
It's interesting they call the museum here the Peace Museum, Hiroshima Peace Museum, versus the Atomic Bomb Museum, I believe.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting, but it is the first city to get bombed versus Nagasaki, where it was the final. And
that's before surrendering. About a week later.
Okay.
Like the only thing that's pretty much
Preserved up pretty well. But what's interesting is it looks like it has become more decrepit even than this picture. It's in worse shape now than it was in this picture today. This is sand that was from the hypocenter of the A-bomb test that was fused by the tremendous heat and partially transformed into a greenish glass-like substance. The name trinitite comes from the name of the test, Trinity. These are bombed sand samples collected for radiation measurements. On August 10, radiation was detected in copper wire found in the samples. These samples were also used to ascertain the areas where black rain fell. The atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima was packed with enriched uranium containing around 50 kilograms of uranium-235. However, this cube represents the tiny amount of uranium-235 that actually underwent fission, which is somewhat less than 1 kilogram. The center of Hiroshima were a myriad of haunting outlines from window panes, valves, and even people in their last seconds. Etched on buildings and sidewalks now were the nuclear shadows of a city about to be obliterated. The heat from the explosion was so intense, in fact, that it also bleached everything in its blast zone, but also left long-lasting shadows where the light was partially obstructed by objects such as this gas main valve you see here. The posts of the bridge barrier are etched onto the tarmac. The post office savings bank in Hiroshima features shadows from the atomic bomb's scorching light. One of the most famous of the Hiroshima shadows is that of the person sitting on the bank steps. It is one of the most complete impressions left behind by the blast and remained in place for over 20 years before it was removed and taken to the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum. Now visitors can see the horrific Hiroshima shadows up close as the memorials to the horrors of nuclear weapons. We only saw a picture of the shadowed steps while we visited though. This glass bottle was deformed by the extreme heat of the conflagration. It is just like many of the glass bottles we saw in Nagasaki that was also in proximity to the nuclear bomb explosion. It's much more immersive here, where they allow you to actually physically touch the deformed bottle though. This is a fused lump of small glass bottles that was part of an ink factory in front of the Fujitsuka home that was totally crushed and burned. It gave a visual picture to the surviving brother of a 4-year-old who was outside and survived massive burns and died the next day. This is a photo of the fire seen and the aftermath is seen from 2.5 miles from the hypocenter. This is a dress from Nobu Taro, who was 24 years old and was exposed to the bombing at home. Although she was trapped under the collapsing building, she managed to crawl out and make it to her evacuation site in the suburbs. Nobu was badly burned and her body was pierced by countless shards of glass. Her parents and other family members tried desperately to save her, but she died on August 18th. This white wall was stained by black rain. The roof of a house about 2.3 miles from the hypocenter was dislodged by the blast, allowing in drops of black rain that dripped down and left traces on this white plaster wall. Analysis of the rain revealed it contained radioactive fallout from the atomic bomb explosion. This is the site they excavated, and it has carbonized from the heat.
Apparently there's some tools even in here, I guess.
This is one strong ass tree surviving the original blast from the atomic bomb. And it was replanted here in 1973. Looks like it's doing pretty well. They reinforced it, of course, but it's still growing, so can't complain too much. You can still see some, looks like chard lines on the side of it. Otherwise, it's doing pretty good.
You say that line from Jurassic Park, nature finds a way.
It was a nice elderly Japanese guy talking to me, and I had no idea what he was saying. I think he was talking about the fact that it's a really strong tree, but
and they replanted it, I think.
yeah, and they replanted.
I think he was trying to say that it was originally somewhere else, and then they moved it.
Look how tall it grew. Can't even see the top from here so well. Here is the Atomic Bomb Memorial Mound. At 8:15 on the morning of August 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb in human history was dropped on Hiroshima. Here are laid the ashes of tens of thousands of its victims. Being close to the hypocenter, numerous corpses were collected at this spot and cremated. The Hiroshima Memorial Service Association was established in January 1946. With donations collected from citizens, a temporary monument was built in May, and a temporary cinerarium and chapel were built in July of the same year. In July 1955, as the 10th anniversary of the dropping of the atomic bomb, the present memorial mound was constructed with an underground cinerarium. So about 70,000 of 140,000 people are buried right here in this mound. Final resting place in the Hiroshima Peace Park. It's the bell of peace, ringing for peace. The surface of the bell is a map of the world, and the sweet spot is an atomic symbol.
This is the Dome of Peace.
The dome or the bell?
The bell.
Okay. Directly.
What do they call it? The hypercenter?
Directly above us. This is the sky where the atomic bomb was first dropped in the history of mankind on an actual city in Hiroshima. And of course, it's marked by a plaque, and it's got a whole bunch of tourists looking at the plaque over there. The first atomic bomb used in the history of humankind exploded approximately 600 meters above this spot. The city below was hit by heat rays of approximately 3,000 to 4,000 degrees Celsius, along with a blast wind and radiation. Most people in the area lost their lives instantly. The time was 8:15 a.m., August 6, 1945. View of devastation looking north from the hypocenter, November 1945, and ironically, the photograph provided here is courtesy of the U.S. Army. The bomb, codenamed Little Boy, possessed a force equivalent of 15,000 tons of TNT. The plane dropped Little Boy over the city at 8:15 a.m. local time on August 6, 1945. About 43 seconds after being dropped, it detonated over the city, missing its target by 790 feet. Intended for the Aioi Bridge, the bomb instead exploded directly over the Shima Hospital, which was very near to the atomic bomb dome. Because the explosion was almost directly overhead, the building was able to retain its shape. The building's vertical columns were able to resist the nearly vertical downward force of the blast, and parts of the concrete and brick outer walls remained intact. The center of the blast occurred 490 feet horizontally and 2,000 feet vertically from the dome. Everyone inside the building was killed instantly. The building's durability can be attributed to the earthquake-resistant design. It has held up to earthquakes before, and since the bombing,
Due to its stone and steel construction, the building was one of the few structures left standing near the bomb's hypocenter, soon commonly called the A-bomb dome due to the exposed metal dome framework, while others wanted to preserve it as a memorial of the bombing and a symbol of peace. Ultimately, when the reconstruction of Hiroshima began, the skeletal remains of the building were preserved. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial, also called the Atomic Bomb Dome, was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1996, serves as a memorial to the over 140,000 people killed in the atomic bombing of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. Before this designation, it was built in 1915 and later named the Hiroshima Prefectural Commercial Exhibition Hall and was primarily used for arts and educational exhibitions. From 1950 through 1964, the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park was established around the dome. The Hiroshima City Council adopted a resolution in 1966 on the permanent preservation of the Genbaku Dome, officially named the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. The dome continues to be the park's primary landmark. In 1996, the atomic dome was registered on the UNESCO World Heritage List based on the Convention for the Protection of the World Cultural and Natural Heritage. Its inclusion into the UNESCO list was based on its survival from a destructive force, that being an atomic bomb, the first use of nuclear weapons on a human population, and its representation as a symbol of peace. Delegates to the World Heritage Committee from China and the United States had reservations regarding the confirmation of the memorial as a World Heritage Site. China cited the possibility that the monument could be used to downplay the fact that the victim countries of Japan's aggression suffered the greatest loss of life during the war, and the United States stated that having a memorial to a war site would omit the necessary historical context. The United States disassociated itself from that decision. The location of the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park was one of the city's busiest downtown commercial and residential districts. The park was built on an open field that was created by the explosion. Today, there are a number of memorials and monuments, museums and lecture halls, which draw over 1 million visitors annually. The annual August 6th Peace Memorial Ceremony, which is sponsored by the city of Hiroshima, is also held in the park. The purpose of the Peace Memorial Park is not only to memorialize the victims, but also to perpetuate the memory of nuclear horrors and advocate world peace. While we visited what we thought was considered Hiroshima Castle, we somehow missed the actual beautiful Hiroshima Castle nearby. It was originally constructed in the 1590s, but was destroyed by the atomic bombing on August 6, 1945. The castle was rebuilt in 1958, a replica of the original that now serves as a museum of Hiroshima's history before World War II.
Hiroshima Castle.
Time to walk to the castle, everybody. Here we go.
And this is the view you get when you walk through the castle. It's so dramatic. I'm expecting some food here parked in the food truck. A bunch of food trucks. That'd be so great to have a food truck actually right now. We haven't eaten for some time. I don't know what they had here earlier, but I'm not sure why they call it a castle. It's more like a moat with a nice facade.
The peace flame has burned continuously since it was lit in 1964 as a memorial to the victims of the bomb.
We're here in Hiroshima, and I'm sending my Aunt Molly another postcard. Last time Michael filmed me, I had a 3-minute slow motion video of me putting the mail in the box because he accidentally hit the wrong button on the iPhone. So this is the atomic dome, sending her our well wishes, and it's amazing how far this can go for 70 yen. That's it. And in about a month or so, it'll be arriving in California.
That's amazing. You can go all the way from there, from their Japanese post office.
I don't know how they do it for 70 yen, but they somehow do it. But it's so slow. I've already sent out a bunch of postcards, and I don't think any of them have arrived yet, even though it's been about a month on the trip. So it's really a slow process.
If you have found this video worth watching, please give a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and you will be alerted for the next video that I will be uploading soon.
Well, we're off to Kobe next. It was quite an interesting adventure.
Kobe beef.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely enjoy that.
I bet someone in there is like, it's inappropriate to talk about eating Kobe beef in front of the Hiroshima nuke dome.
Why is it that when we do these walkthrough videos, I'm walking inside? I don't know. That is a weird thing that I have yet to figure out why. Usually, it would be coming in. Okay, let's try that again.
What? Rambling?
Okay.